You're not going to die of boredom if you play the Ruy Lopez, Spanish opening that is, and the Berlin defense, especially if you play like Vidit Gujarati versus Hikaru Nakamura, a game that just happened yesterday in the second round of the FIDE Candidates 2024, a game that impressed me very much. And I've streamed it live if you want to double check that live stream that I did yesterday. If not, I'm going to try to summarize now the game. Maybe under 10 minutes. But nevertheless, we're going to look at the key moments of this very, very impressive game that happened. And another thing that we'll be illustrating is the massive psychological impact that the moves like 11, a bishop sacrifice on h3, which probably was a prepared line, which really impacted Nakamura in a very negative way. And he didn't play the right moves after that move number 11. And Vidit simply capitalized. So let's just go and find him now. The key moments we're going to be discussing. Drop me your comments, guys, if you watch the video, and we can look at more in-depth ideas together. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6. Now, a few theoretical moves happening. Bishop to b5. Here, bishop c4, we would have had the Gioco Piano, the Italian game, but bishop b5 is the Ruy Lopez now. The knight f6. The Berlin, not a problem. Just it's worth mentioning that you're also having the castle short, and if knight takes, you got the rook e1 aligning with the knight, with the pawn, and with the king here. And if what say knight to d6, but actually let me just show you. I'm making just a little bit of a digression here for learning purposes. So attacking the knight, now it goes nicely on d6. There is a theoretical move, by the way, here, and your opponent has to be careful about this idea here, because you're not going to do nothing about this bishop, although you could. But you, for instance, you can play something very interesting as knight takes c5, and if they're getting really greedy, just wanted to show you what might happen if. The chess of game is a lot of what might happen if this and that. So if the knight were to take on b5 now, it's the devastating move for black, which is knight takes e6 here, and either block and you take queen, or they move queen and you take again. So you need to keep this one in mind. So, but anyway, Nakamura didn't play castle short. He played d3. d3, and there's nothing wrong with the d3 being played here. Of course, defending e4, freeing up the bishop to move, bishop to c5, c3, cutting off any knight or bishop to try to, and also supporting a potential d4 advancement. Castles short, castle short, nice and cool. d6, what's not to like about this position? h3 prophylactically being played, nothing wrong. Another theoretical move. You may now want to get yourself pinned. Or you may now want to have the knight coming to g4 at some point. So h3 plays a multi-purpose, amongst others, very immediate and important. There is no bishop g4 to pinning the knight. Knight e7, h6 could have been played earlier, but knight e7 with the intent to getting them perhaps over to g6 at some point. d4, exactly as we said, d4, attacking the bishop, and c6. Here, best stuff to play is just simply going for a bishop. And when they take, you're going to grab another pawn, again, hitting the knight, and the knight has to move. So Nakamura should have played this, but instead he went for bishop d3. Not the end of the world, not the end of the world, but d c5, just for future reference for you guys. You don't need to believe in, just check with whatever engines you've got available at home. So he should have taken on c5. Now bishop b6, retreating, nothing wrong. White does a little bit better. Not a wrong move to take on e5 after all, because you're going to come up with an extra pawn, which is the critical, the pinnacle of the game now. Move number 11, my chess friends. And now Vidit plays something which I guess really surprised Nakamura. And actually, he didn't play the correct move afterwards. Bishop takes h3, 11th move played by Vidit here. Like a thunder, boom, taking on h3. The correct move, and I was discussing with my chess friends during the live stream, was to take the bishop on h3. Okay, so you should have taken on h3. And if queen to b8, you've got bishop to f4, protected the knight. And if bishop to c5, you're going to be dropping on g3. And if bishop takes, you go with f4. They're going to have to move back to safety, to which you continue with queen f3. So this theoretical sequence ends up with white having a very comfortable position expanded on the king side. everything looks nice and very playable with a bit of an advantage, a bit of an edge for white. So if Nakamura would have played this in the Ruy Lopez Berlin, he would have been better than black. But he didn't. He didn't take on h3. He actually did spend some time. Let me just check if they show me how much time did he spend. 5 minutes, and he didn't play the right move. He missed the opportunity to grab the bishop. I don't know, maybe he got panicked or something, and he played knight to c4. Okay, knight to c4. Now it's already weird because now Vidit just delivers one move after another. Vidit just starts to capitalize now. So yes, maybe the importance of prepping your opening, it does matter. So now bishop g4 attacks the queen. You can't play f3 because it's pinned by the bishop, so queen must move. And also, you got to move the queen looking after the bishop as well, so you can't say, I'm going to go e1, because the queen then will be taken on d3. So queen c2, moving queen away from the bishop's attack and defending d3 from the black queen. So you probably noticed this, guys. Bishop to c7, already claiming the dark squares. Okay, you claim the dark squares here. Nakamura played e5. Trying to increasing a little bit the attack, trying to opening up this battery here, leading to h7. He retreats very calmly to d7, being aware that the bishop might takes on h7, which is not a problem. Black now does better after bishop takes h3, specifically after knight c4, black doing just better. So king moves out of check, retreating the bishop. b5, attacking the knight that protects the e5, and things are going to get very, very ugly now for white. Knight redeploying itself, attacking the bishop active, the white bishop very active, and opening up the queen as well. So we got a double attack on the d3 here. Bishop to e2. The best one would have been knight takes g4. The best one for white is knight captures g4. So he played bishop e2. I reckon, in my understanding, would be because he hoped for getting some rook over to the d file. I don't know, maybe just Nakamura can confirm what was the reason behind bishop e2. So now f5 being pushed by black, because maybe he wants to do some rook lift or something at some point in the game, you never know. f4, staving it off, and of course it's worth mentioning that the pawn actually wanted to coming down to f4, so f4 now blocks it, attacks the knight, bishop, and now he played an absolute brilliancy, another very valuable, powerful, insightful move by Vidit, bishop to b6, sacking the knight on e5. Okay, and if you tell me, wait a second, this is crazy, what if he just simply would have taken my knight? Then you have the devastating knight to d5 here, and you got double attack on this knight, which is being pinned. I mean, if you're thinking about taking here, it's not going to work. Knight e3 forking, and the threat is absolutely huge here because you've got a massive discovered check coming here. Okay, so if you want to just continue for a bit longer, so the king now has to go well. You're not going to block with the rook, are you? So now this guy is going to go in the on the h file, and this guy is going to be taken, and the position is devastatingly advantageous for black. So let's just not get into the sidelines. So that's not what happened. What happened in the game after bishop b6 is king to f2. But that's already so uncomfortable. Notice how the knight is in a pin. Knight can't move. And now knight pressurizing further on the poor knight on e3, already heavily, absolutely pinned there. Rook h1 trying to create some counterattack. King moves away very nicely, taking the knight on e5, and the queen adds pressure on the pin piece, guys. Retain this principle of chess, adding pressure on the pin piece. It's very important to keep this in mind. King tries to desperately run away from the pin. Bishop takes on g4 now. Queen gets closer and closer to the target. Bishop takes and knight takes, already super lost here for white, super painful to play. Notice how the white king is exactly where they don't and shouldn't be. Notice how the black rook are absolutely ready to launching devastatingly. He tries to simplify, trading off the queens and stuff. Another very important principle in chess, guys. Don't simplify if you're having a powerful attack here now, and the queen is so versatile, moving and flexible. Don't just trade if you can avoid this position here. Checking. Notice how the king can't move, and you're attacking g2 double time, so doubly, and now king goes on to d5. It's a devastating thing because the black rooks just, they just want to exploit, and that's exactly what Vidit does now, massively capitalizing. This is so over. And look at this move, queen to g5, discover check. This is just so much. You can't move the king. Notice how you can't move the king. Check and check and check. You can't move the king. So b3 is a last desperate attempt because after knight f1 is just too much. Okay, it's just too much. You've got to move the king. And if the king to b2, just look at knight g3, and I just simply, there's no way to continue, and Nakamura resigned the game. Okay, so Burley defense played in this manner. Oh boy, you are not going to die of boredom, that's for sure. And always prepare your opening lines, and do the homework. You never know. If a player as powerful as Hikaru Nakamura on move 11, so to speak, blunders or misses opportunities, there might be the psychological effect of playing this kind of moves. They call it in chess psychological moves. Okay, so I hope that's useful, guys. Subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitch or my live stream, YouTube as well, and we'll get more stuff discussed together. Thank you for watching the video. Have a wonderful day.